fellow travelers. Today has already starting out to be a crazy day. I am now fighting a cold. I've been so healthy and the rest of my family's been sick, and I thought I would get past it. And last night came down with a headache, and now I'm on all of the medications trying to keep it off. But yeah, so if I sound a little different today, that's why. The other thing I want to talk about, so this morning as I was driving to the recording studio, my town has a lot of roundabouts in it. And there's one kind of big one that is at the exit and entrance to the interstate. And drive it almost every single day. I've driven it hundreds of times. It's been around for a while now. It's not brand new. And this morning as I was traveling, so I travel east towards the highway, and the roundabout is the last thing that I have to go through to get onto the highway. And headed in that direction, and I see a car on the westbound side with a cop car behind it. And just where it was, I was like, that's a weird place to get pulled over. And as I get closer, I see the front tire is like blown out. And I was like, wow, that's a really crappy way to start your day, to have a flat tire. And then I looked a little more, and it wasn't just a flat tire. The whole front of their car was basically just crushed, and the tires were gone, essentially. And there was obviously a lot of traffic. It was blocking a lot of different lanes because it's a roundabout. And so traffic was piling up. So I had a little bit more time to look at what was happening than I normally do. And there was also a city truck parked on the roundabout because it's got plants and rocks and trees and things. Like it's not a tiny little flat roundabout. It is a massive piece of architecture. And there are two workers out on, like walking around the roundabout. And I noticed that there were like signs taken down, like just flattened. And so, again, not a great way to start your day, but it also made me wonder, like, what exactly happened? Because you see all of those videos online of, like, people just, like, driving over roundabouts and, like, people not understanding how roundabouts work. We've had them here for a very, very long time. They are not really a new concept in my area, but I can understand how they can be confusing, especially people that are not from here or don't know how they work. Like, there are those people that just have to, like, yield at everything even when there's no traffic. And so it just made me question, like, what was this person doing? There were no other cars around, so it wasn't like they were getting pushed out of the way. And for them to have that kind of damage, like taking signs out, they must have been going pretty fast. But then I had, a 25-minute drive to the recording studio, and so it had me thinking more about just what happens when things happen in life, emergencies happen, things that we don't expect, all of those things that, how do we prepare for that within our business, within our lives? I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking about having, paying for our life insurance and having all of that stuff documented. In my archives world, we talk a lot about people having wills and putting things into trusts and things like that, and just preparing for all of those eventualities. And of course, you've heard me talk a lot on here, but also on my social media and in my Facebook VIP group, constantly talking about travel protection. That was another topic that came up the other day amongst a group of travel advisors within my host agency, just talking about no matter what, my clients, like, they cannot definitely opt out of having travel protection, but I'm going to send them quotes because you just don't know what's going to happen. And so just to think about that, again, when you're in, especially when you're in your business and you've been doing it for a while, not having some of those contingencies in place, like thinking about what happens if something happens, if you were in that accident today that I saw, and if you're taken to the hospital or if you're out of commission for a week, 2 weeks, month or more, what does that do to your business? Are you the only one that knows all of the logins, that knows the financials, that knows the accounts? Like, if that's you, how do you keep your business going when you can't be there? Or what are your plans if you can't be there anymore? What are your plans if you pass away and you can't do anything else? Who's going to take over that for you? Another thing that I really appreciate about my host agency is that we actually put it into our contract every year. Either Dugans can assume, like, if something happens to you and they ask, like, how do you want your business to be handled if you can't if you can't take care of your business anymore? And you can either put that onto Dugans, and Dugans staff will help get your clients through their travels and kind of close everything up. Or do you want another agent responsible for that? And I actually have a mutual agreement with a fellow travel agent of mine. And so if something happens to one of us, the other one will take over our business. And so those are just the things that you have to think about. It's certainly something that I know I need to work on, but it was just kind of, again, you just never know how your day is going to go and what's going to happen. And 2026 has definitely been a year with a lot of unexpected things happening in it, and some good, some bad. And I know that I really need to be prepared for all eventualities, especially because, I'm getting older, my parents are getting older, I have a young kiddo at home, just making sure that all of those things are taken care of. Also, be careful out there when you're driving. Yeah, I'm hoping that later I'll find out what happened. And if I did, I will update y'all. But it was certainly it just took a second for my mind to compute kind of what I was looking at, let alone what happened. All right, welcome travelers. Welcome to Life Between Flights, the podcast about small business, the travel industry, and all of life's interruptions. I am your host, Cecily North-Rudo, certified travel advisor and owner of Traveling North Travel Agency. Today, we are going to be talking about social media. Social media is amazing and wonderful, and also the absolute bane of my existence sometimes. I really love social media. I love what social media can do for projects and businesses and making awareness for a variety of things. I don't necessarily like seeing how social media is used, especially in the teenage space, like having a young kiddo, just seeing all of the things that she is going to have to deal with as she grows up. Thankfully, she hasn't really been exposed to any of that stuff. I mean, she's 5, but seeing her older cousins and everything that they have to deal with and giving them alternatives to being on social media and keeping them engaged with other things and projects. And some of them have jobs now and are driving and all of those things. But I love social media for being able to connect with people, especially for those of us that are older, that have lived a lifetime before social media was even a thing, to be able to connect with people in a new way from, high school, even some people from elementary school and from past jobs and things like that. It's kind of fun in that kind of way to kind of see what people have been up to and kind of look in on people's lives, but also knowing that a lot of things are curated. And that is especially true in the business world and with influencers and all of that stuff, knowing that it is created in such a way to draw you to it, right? So this is going to be a very, very basic overview of what to consider when starting social media with your business, and also the things to consider that way, but also what's going to be more beneficial for you. What are the first steps? Because I know for a lot of agents that I talk to, social media can be really, really overwhelming. And also just having the discussion of, do you really want to use social media? Do you want to be on social media? I know a lot of people that are kind of unsubscribing from a lot of it and aren't using it in that way anymore. And that's when having your presence somewhere else is also very important. So with that, to talk about social media, definitely was around before I started my business. But one of the things when I first started, I knew that because I was using Facebook and Instagram, I had a Twitter account for my business. I think it still exists, but I don't use it. I've never really used it. I had it kind of connected to other stuff. And then I have LinkedIn. I have a YouTube channel, Pinterest. I'm trying to think of all of the things that I've used for my business in the past. I think I might have even had a Tumblr page at some point. I was really into Tumblr for a couple years. And then I think that's been about it. I do have a TikTok account, which I have used more for editing than for sharing. I just don't use TikTok. I really like the editing capabilities of it, but it's just not something where I'm sharing my messaging on. So one of the very first things before you just jump in and start making accounts is really thinking about, you want to focus on 1 or 2 platforms that you're going to begin with. You don't have to jump into all of them right away. And you want to be thinking about, how do you want to have your processes work for social media? Let's say in the very beginning, you're going to have that thought of do I need social media or do I not? There are plenty of agents out there that have 0 social media. They are referral only. They don't even have necessarily a website. They are fully referral based. So basically you get a phone number and an email address. There are agents that work like that, where they just don't do any marketing out there. And also they don't need to. So that can be absolutely a viable way to have your business and be kind of like secret, speakeasy kind of club where, your number gets passed around and that's how people hear about you. But if you have a website, of course, you can always use that. You don't have to have a social media space if you have a website or you have some sort of other online presence. We've talked about websites, we've talked about digital business cards. There are certainly other ways to market yourself, even on Travefy. If you have a Travefy site or landing pages where people can go to, that can work just as well as anything else, as long as people are able to find you. So, of course, the big ones: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. All of those are kind of the big ones currently. I know a lot of the suppliers work with these social media companies to help just kind of connect your business and create all of the content for you. And for those, it's getting shared on those big ones. So Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube, and LinkedIn. And there might be some others in there if you have accounts for them. I really only have stuff connected to my Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I don't use any of the others. But of course, if you have those spaces, and when suppliers are creating content and you're getting to use it all for free, then you know, if you have the accounts, go ahead and use them. But when you're first starting out, you want to be looking at, I know a lot of people that love Facebook. I love Facebook. I know I'm older. I know Facebook isn't as cool for the younger crowd, but I like Facebook because I can have not only images, but I can also post video. I can also post text. I can post links to things. I can have links to my website. I like the hashtag aspect of it. And I also like that I can, with Facebook, I have my public facing business page. And then I also have a VIP group for clients on Facebook, which is where I can put specific pricing for things. I try to post videos in there. I try weekly. Generally, it's maybe once a month I'll post a video in there about what's happening, good deals going on, what's upcoming for travel trends, what I'm seeing, you know, talking about travel protection always. But it's just another space for people to go to and hear my messaging directly from me. And I am directly talking to my clients and referrals from them. It's a small group of people that I can talk directly to. And also, people email me and they have questions. I can go to that group and talk about it and answer those questions and put it in front of my direct audience. Those are the things I really, really like about having Facebook. I've done Facebook ads in the past, and we will talk about that on another episode, but also a little bit later on as being, you know, the paid version of advertising and all of that stuff. But those are the reasons why I like using Facebook. I like that I can share everything from my personal page. So I don't always share all of my business stuff on my personal page. I know a lot of agents that do. I know agents that if they create a group for a cruise, they promote that on their personal page. Just say, hey, if you want to travel with me, here's the information. It links to their business page. And a lot of people can see that. And then for Instagram, I've always really liked Instagram because I am very much a visual person, but also I really love photography. I love taking pictures, and I love having that visual medium that's kind of a little more, like when it first started, it was a little more streamlined because it was just images. And now there's a lot more text and a lot more AI and things like that in there. But for myself, when I'm posting, I like that I can post just pictures or a video to Instagram. And it just keeps it very simplified for me. And just having very simple visuals on there is what I really, really appreciate about Instagram. And I like that between Facebook and Instagram, they talk to each other. And so if you're posting on one, you can post on the other. Through the business suite on Facebook, you can customize if you want it to look different on Instagram than on Facebook, but it's still using the same content. Like you can schedule all of that stuff. I like having it's simpler for me to use that. And then of course, X will do the same. You know, you can connect it to X as well. It will post the link. It'll go back to your Facebook, or it'll go to your website, or whatever you're trying to highlight. And then YouTube, like I said, I have a YouTube channel. I haven't posted it on there in a really long time, but I do like having YouTube as a place for people to go to see me in my kind of element when I'm talking about business or talking about my services and things like that. I really should go back and update some of those videos because I have recorded things. I've just never posted them. And then, of course, if you're using Pinterest, it can be huge for affiliate links, using other places to create more revenue with some of the things that aren't direct bookings necessarily, but some of your supporting services that you might provide, you can link on Pinterest and pin and have people find you that way. I really like Pinterest too because, again, not a service that I've used in a while, but I have really liked it when pinning stuff for kind of before Travify, if I was trying to create like a road trip and there were certain places that I wanted to hit in a road trip, I would pin things to that and have it just as a visual way to see, okay, these are all the places we're going to go on this road trip. And also pinning like, these are my favorite places to eat at Disney World, or these are all the resorts I've stayed at Disney World. When I was kind of building that part of the business 10, 12 years ago, it was just a way for me to keep track of all of the places I've kind of been to and the places that I can kind of talk about with clients. And then, of course, TikTok is the trendy place to be. Like I said, I really like TikTok for the editing purposes. It's great for me. Like when I did our business boot camp in 2024, I would film a whole bunch during the day, and then I would take a couple minutes at night and just put together a little TikTok video of my day. And it was really, really fun. And then when I come home and I don't do anything else with it. But it was a really fun way to highlight like what it is in a day when we're in classes all day and we're talking to, in that one specifically, we were talking about businesses. And then I would be going to Disneyland at night because we met in Anaheim. And so showing that part of the day, traveling through the airport, like just kind of all of that stuff and highlighting that on a daily basis. And just, they make it really, really easy to edit that into a quick video. And I know that that's a really, really great tool for travel advisors because it helps, like, you know, especially when you're out on FAMs or you're doing a site inspection or you're doing any sort of travel, you know, your own trips or whatever, you know, we're all taking pictures, we're all taking videos. And if there's an easy way to kind of put that all together into a little 1-minute video that you can post online, and it's something that you can use over and over again. Another one that I personally really like, and I don't know if that's because it's the library side of me or what, but I really, really like LinkedIn. Like I said, I like using LinkedIn as a tool to connect with people after I've met with them at a networking event. So if I've connected with people, I've gotten a business card, I'm going to go search for them on LinkedIn, connect with them there, and then they can see all of my posts from my business social media also goes to LinkedIn. Everything from the podcast goes on LinkedIn. So people can see all of the things that I'm doing, even if I've only had one conversation with them during a networking event. But it's just another way, kind of on the professional side. So people are seeing your background, your actual, like your CV, really, your whole resume can be on LinkedIn. And then also you can have like your own business page where you're talking about all the things in your business. Again, all the stuff on your social media can be posted there and people can see that you are a legit business. And so I just really like LinkedIn because I can go back and see kind of people's experience and also see their certifications, see their education, see where they're from, you know, whatever they want to post. I really, really like having that as another resource that isn't so curated like Facebook and Instagram are. So let's just start with Facebook and Instagram. Now, Facebook, of course, like I said, you can provide a whole lot of information on Facebook. When you are starting out with your social media, regardless of which platform you're going with, you want your handle to be, or your business name or whatever, to be consistent across all of your brands. That was the struggle I had when I was creating mine, was that Traveling North, just as Traveling North was taken. And then there's usually a character limit on how long your handle can be. So I had to kind of finagle my way with traveling. So sometimes it's Traveling North, sometimes it's Traveling North Agency with like vowels taken out, or it's Traveling North Agent. That's kind of how I've had to kind of, people can still find me. That's also why it's so important to have all of your socials linked consistently, whether it's in your newsletter, on your website, on your digital business card. So then people aren't having to think about, well, what was our thing on Facebook? Was it just Traveling North? Was it Traveling North Agency? Was it Traveling North Agent? Like, it's all there for people so that they can find me. I also have everything linked on my personal page so that if they are looking for the business side of things, they're going to find it very quickly. Same with Instagram, of course, that also has my digital business card at the top. You always see the link in bio, and you can use that through Linktree or whatever. I like using Blink, my digital business card. That's what I link in my bio on Instagram and link it pretty much everywhere else because it has all of my links and all of my information in one place. First of all, deciding what your handle is going to be, what it's going to be across all of the different platforms, and having that consistent. You're going to want to upload your logo or at least your professional headshot. For me, with my mailers and engagement, which is in another episode, mine is actually my headshot with my logo on it. But most of the time, you're just going to see my logo across all of my social media. Rarely is it my face. Of course, LinkedIn, it's my headshot, and like my personal Facebook is my headshot, but everything else is going to be my logo. And then you're going to want to have a consistent description or bio in all of those places to talk about who you are, what your business is. Again, you might be limited on characters, so you have to be really, really concise. And that's where that link tree or that digital business card comes in, because you can't have everything all in your description, especially on Instagram. But if you have that link to all of your stuff, then that's what you can put in there. I highlight that I'm a certified travel advisor. I say how long I've been in business. That's kind of like where I keep it at, because then they can go to that card and they can find all of my info right there. On Facebook, of course, you can put in a whole bunch of information linking to your you can talk about your services, what you provide, who you work with. You can also put in like all of your contact info, your business address, of course, all of your other socials where people can find you. You can tag all of your links. And then on Facebook, I have my business page, which you absolutely want to have a separate page for Facebook. You want to have a business page. You don't want to be posting everything on your personal. You want to have a business page that people can go to. A lot of people, especially for those of us that have been around and have stuff on social media, and like that's not going away. People can see stuff on your social media, on your personal page, and they might see stuff that maybe they don't agree with, and maybe that means that they don't necessarily want to work with you. But if you're directing them to your business page and they're seeing all of the stuff that you do professionally and with your business, that's what people want to see to work with you, right? They don't necessarily want to be seeing you partying at your cousin's wedding 20 years ago. So you want to keep kind of your personal stuff separate from your business. And like I said, I liked having the business page set up. It's easier. It's more professional. It has all of your information there. And then, of course, when you are connecting to BranchUp or Rallio or Social Share Pro, it's all there and it's connected. It has to be a business page. It cannot be a personal page. So just go ahead and set up your business page with all of your business information. And then that's just going to grow over time. I think now I've got because I've been connected with Social Share Pro and BranchUp for a couple of years now. And I think total, I have over 11,000 posts on my social media on Facebook, which is crazy to think. But having been around for a while and having, I'm posting all of my own content plus all the stuff that's scheduled from the suppliers. So it can create a lot of content, and that's how people are going to find you. And seeing all of that is going to make people want to work with you. And so then also, and this was a great idea I got from a fellow travel advisor, because you have to be very careful about posting specific pricing on social media. I see agents all the time that say, family of four staying at All-Star Sports with 4-day park hopper tickets, and they'll list a price. The problem with that, and it's not a starting at price, it is for this much money. Well, as we all know, pricing is dynamic. Pricing depends on where you're flying from. It depends on if the dates change. Like, I have always been very hesitant to put any specific pricing out on social media. I will always put a starting at price, because you can get in trouble for false advertising or for promising something that isn't actually what people are getting. If you're advertising something as family of four for all of these things at this price, and then when you come back and the pricing has changed, or they're wanting to travel on different dates or whatever it is, because you didn't put in all of the small print and all of the other things, they can potentially come back and sue you for false advertising and essentially lying in your business and all of that stuff. So I am always very hesitant to put out very specific pricing on social media. But in my Facebook group, which is a VIP group, I approve everyone that joins. It is all people that I know. In that one, I will be more specific about pricing. I have clients that live all over the country, but I can say, hey, for all of you that are in the Kansas City area, this really great deal just came out from Vacation Express with charter flights, and this is the pricing it's still starting at. So it's not saying this specific number, but at least I can say it's a starting at price, and this includes 6 days at this all-inclusive in Jamaica with charter flights, and I can get you a room upgrade and a resort credit, blah, 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 whatever the details are. But I feel more comfortable going into more specific pricing, because that is for my specific clients, and I am being very specific in saying it is for these dates, it is for this property, it is for these flights, it is for, what all of the specifics are. And that's really where with the VIP group, because it is directly talking to your customers, that's where I would feel more comfortable putting in pricing. If you put starting at, that's way better than putting in a specific dollars and cents kind of amount. But definitely consider starting your own VIP group. Plus, people also like having kind of being in that, hey, I'm in the special little club that's run by my travel advisor, and I get all of the ins and outs. I get all of the new deals. I get information before anybody else does because I'm part of this special little group. So it just helps to market you a little bit more that way as well. And then jumping over to Instagram, same thing. You want to have a business profile. Again, when if you are connecting to Social Share Pro or BranchUp or Rallio or whatever any of the other supplier platforms are, you are required to have a business account and they will verify it and all of that stuff. But it just makes it so much easier because whatever is getting posted on Facebook will get posted on Instagram. I like having that for the podcast as well, but it just makes it so much easier. And then, of course, I also schedule my own content I will use the Facebook business suite, and then I will schedule, all of my just booked postings, and that'll go both to Facebook and Instagram at the same time. It has all of the same descriptions, all of that stuff, the same images, and it just makes it so much easier when you can connect all of those things together as well. And then, of course, you can do the same with X. And then also Social Share Pro also uses LinkedIn. I also have a business page on LinkedIn, so it's not just my profile and my resume and all of that stuff. I have a business page for Traveling North. The thing that's interesting about LinkedIn is that people can claim that they have worked for your business without any verification. And I found out a few years ago now that someone was claiming that they were working for my travel agency before it existed. Like they just put in random dates, and you can go to LinkedIn and say, hey, I own this business. This person has never worked for me, and they will shut it down. But it's just interesting. I was like, why would anybody think for a one-person business to think, oh, I'm going to say that I worked for them at a time when the business didn't even exist. And there was no description in it. It just was kind of surprising to me. So you do kind of have to look out for that stuff where people claim to be working for you or working for your business just to get some credibility. It's something to watch out for. It's certainly not something I would ever think to do, but it just I was like, what? Why is someone claiming that they, because it was like, you have 2 employees. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't work with anybody else. So that is one thing about the LinkedIn stuff that always just makes me laugh. But you definitely want to, again, you would just want to have a separate business page where you can highlight all of your business stuff. The other thing about LinkedIn, which I have not taken full advantage of, I do post to there when I've written an article for my local area newsletters that I'm part of. I will share that on LinkedIn as well and share the article. You can put out a whole bunch more content on LinkedIn that you can't necessarily share that on Facebook or Instagram as like a full-on article. But you can post that on LinkedIn, and it shows that you're publishing. It shows that you're writing, you're creating content in a different way that's not just a visual. You're actually talking about the industry. You're talking about what you're learning. You're talking about your business, talking about trends, all of those things. You can put a lot of that stuff into LinkedIn, which just provides more credibility to your business because you know what you're talking about, and you're showing that you are an expert in all of these things. And it's not just the visuals like you would see on Facebook and Instagram. The one thing I will say really quick, just from my own experience, and again, I am not a marketer. I am not someone that can just sit down and create an ad and get thousands of inquiries from it. I have done Facebook ads in the past. I've used them for when I'm advertising cruise space. And I obviously proved that I don't know what I'm doing because it did lead to a lot of people clicking on it and looking at information, but it did not lead to a single booking. And so it was I wouldn't say that it was wasted effort because I certainly learned about just how the advertising side of things work. And so if I were to do it again, I would definitely be working with someone that knows marketing, that knows branding, that knows how to make an ad and how to make people actually want to click on it and book. It was great for visuals. It was really fun to see it like kind of pop up out in the wild because I would see it on like other sites that wasn't just like my own Facebook site or whatever. And I know lots of people were looking at it, but it just didn't turn into revenue for me. And so there are things like that where if you truly don't feel comfortable with the ad side of things, you might want to talk to your small business development counsel, or you might want to talk to a marketer or someone in a networking group that really knows marketing, have them help you craft an ad. You get to set what your budget is. So you can say, hey, I only want to spend $10 a day for a month or whatever, and just test it out. The nice thing about it is that you can kind of do different iterations. So you can market towards different age groups, different demographics, different locations. You can change the ad a little bit. So if you want one that's more for the parents or the grandparents, and it's showing fine dining at an all-inclusive, and it's showing the romantic date nights because the kids are in the kids club. And then you can also have one that's geared more towards the families, where it's showing the kids at the kids club and it's showing them on the beach doing all of the water sports, doing all of the activities to help market towards parents. But then you can also use that same ad and market towards the grandparents or the couples that aren't traveling with children. Like, you can have kind of two different approaches to the same property or the same offer. And so it's kind of interesting to look at those two, because you're kind of promoting the same thing, but you're marketing it towards different demographics, and to see how that works as well is really useful. And then, of course, you're also getting some feedback from that, right? You're seeing what people are interested in. If you're getting no views, no one is interested in that offer, and maybe you should tweak it. And maybe people in your market are looking more for cruises, or they're looking for more of like a spa experience and not necessarily an all-inclusive or things like that. There's so many different ways to go about it. And I am certainly not the marketing expert. That's why I have them come and talk on the podcast and not me. But I hope that this was kind of a helpful thing to think about when you're starting your social media. You really want to think about the platforms that you feel comfortable with. Don't start with just everything. Start with one or two and then go from there. I definitely recommend having the business pages set up for whichever platform you're using, but definitely consider having a Facebook presence, or even just starting a Facebook group for your business where you can invite clients and friends and family, where you can talk directly to your clients. I think that one has been very helpful and also helps engage in an actual conversation with people. And then also beefing up your LinkedIn presence, because that will show the professional side of your business. It'll show your certifications. It'll show how much you are invested in your business. It's not like, again, people think that when I tell people, oh, I'm a travel agent or I own a travel business, and they're like, oh, you're just on Google doing what I can do. And it's like, no. I have been doing this for years. These are the people that I have helped. These are the certifications that I've taken. These are I've been a 5-star agent, which means this. Like, you can put all of that stuff into LinkedIn and really highlight the professional side of you, so that people realize that it isn't just you and your best friend Google. You actually work with suppliers. You've taken certifications. You've done these trainings, and you're actively participating in the industry. And I think that really goes a long way as well. I know for me, when I'm looking on LinkedIn, even connecting with other librarians and archivist friends, and I will always look and see, where did they go to school? What has their experience been? Where have they worked? Like, just to kind of see, like, because, another part of this podcast is seeing what everybody's journey has been. And that's a great way to see people's education and see kind of how they've moved up through the ranks, or maybe they've moved laterally and they've kind of stayed in the same position, just done it at different places. But I just really like LinkedIn for that professional side of it. So with all of that, we will be talking to more marketers and talking more about social media. I mention it all of the time. I know I talk about my VIP group a lot. So with that, I hope that you have found this discussion helpful. Maybe it's inspired you to do some different things with social media. Like I said, we will dive more into all of this in future episodes. I hope that you found this useful. If you have, please share it with others that you think might find it useful. Please follow, rate, subscribe, all of those things that really help boost the podcast. And of course, with all of that, safe travels, and may your luggage follow you wherever you go. Today's episode of Life Between Flights was sponsored by me, Traveling North, produced by me and edited by Nomad Creations. Please check out the show notes for referral links, discount codes, and more resources that I've talked about in this episode. You can also follow along on our social media on Facebook and Instagram at Life Between Flights Pod. If you want help planning your next adventure, you can always check me out at travelingnorthagency.com. If you have any questions, ideas, or would like to sponsor this podcast, you can email us at lifebetweenflightspod@gmail.com.